Alrighty, we got our ingredients here.
What we're doing here is we're making what's called Mudflats. It's a mixture of chocolate pudding, or treacle you may call it, and then you have your jam from your frozen fruit you make on the stove. And then you also make oatmeal cookies, and you layer that all together in a pan, true Georgian style, and when it's all done being baked, it kind of looks like cracked desert plains, you know, when the chunks of mud dry out and they start peeling up.
Yeah, so these are
cherries.
These are cherries.
You can use any kind of delicious frozen fruit, but I'm just going to be using these three: blueberries, cherries, and peaches. And you just put them in a pan with some slight amounts of oil, maybe a slight amount of cornstarch, and then of course your sugar or whatever sweetener you're using.
So we got the flour here, we got the fruit, you gotta have your baking soda and your baking powder, we got some old sea salt here. We don't have vanilla, so we're using pure almond extract. We'll put it in those two pans over there.
Just take a look at that recipe for the cookies, oatmeal cookies. And then I'll just, you can turn on the camera again when I'm making the liquid chocolate and fruit preserves.
Yeah. I'm just showing the ingredients. We got our butter here, you know, non-cow abused butter, or whatever that's called,
yeah. Except I'm actually going to be using
short eggs.
This is palm heart oil.
We're replacing the butter with palm heart oil, apparently. That's cool. And some brown eggs. Watching the clouds move.
Well, you don't need to record quite yet.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to show. So we've mixed all of the wet ingredients together, and we've got the dry here.
Yeah, that's for the oatmeal cookies. And it calls for 6 cups of oats, but I'm just going to do 4. I might add a little more, I'm not sure, we'll see. But anyway, the point is, this is just the cookie stuff here. Yeah. I'll mix that together. Then I'll make the frozen fruit medley here into a thick syrup sauce with some, now I added honey to it, and then I'll put a little bit of cornstarch and make it into a nice thick syrup. And then I will also take the chocolate and the carob powder, and you mix them in equal measure into another pan with some coconut oil and blackstrap molasses, and make that into a thick syrup. And then you just layer the shit out of them. I'll show you that later. What you want to do here is you got to mix the cranberries into the cookie dough mixture. So what I'm going to do first is that I'm going to take my wet and dry and mix them together.
Delicious.
And you want to make sure and add the cranberries in, and then the oats after you get these two mixed together.
The cranberries. I'll blend it up.
Of course, if you take a whisk, you can get more of the wet ingredients out using the whisk method, is where you spin it. You can jiggle it in there. It's also my favorite sex move. Alright, there we go. Good enough. Then, you do not want to mix it with this, of course, because the flour will bind into it. So then you just place this aside and use your little spoonie arrow. And you just mix the tar out of it. You can, of course, if your hands are clean, just see that'll start happening. It's easier at a certain point to squeeze it with your hands, but, you know, it's not a necessity. You can just mix it for several minutes until it's all juicified into cookie type scenario. I'll add the oats soon and the cranberries. There. the carob and chocolate sauce. It has honey in it, a little bit, but mostly it's molasses. And you can just do molasses for that. That's the best way.
And then this is our fruit and
medley. Yeah.
Medley. Yeah, I didn't want to say the word, but it's the only one I knew I had to say.
Yeah, you have to say it. And I added some strawberries to it as well, so it's 4 different fruits.
Oh, cool! I didn't know you did that.
Mm-hmm. The exciting part is actually layering it in the pan now.
Ooh,
So we'll get to that in just a second. First I gotta add the odoros and squeeze it into shape. Yeah, I only went with I went with 5 cups of oats rather than the 6.
And this is cranberries for that Thanksgiving feel with the correct, sort of fall fruit.
Yep.
Strawberries, peaches, cherries.
Yeah, and blueberries. They aren't all necessarily fall, but
But it's pretty, I say fall themed because not everything goes precisely with fall. As everybody knows, in order to get a little bit of fall, you need a lot of other ingredients.
yeah. It's just about the color scheme. Let's just stick with that.
Well, I'm saying fall in real life doesn't happen without the proper ingredients. You gotta have the right amount of this, the right amount of that.
Yeah, the right amount of summer and a lot of phony nitrogen cultists. Yeah.
Yeah.
You mix those together and you get fall. It's beautiful. Alright, that's getting pretty mixed up now. Sticking to the oats are sticking to the batter pretty good. Now we'll add some of the cranberries. Just smush those in there. I probably used it depends upon what you want it to taste like, but probably no more than a cup of cranberries or a cup and a half at most. And you just mix those in too for a second.
Looks delicious.
Yep.
Unless you're not into oats, in which case, I guess you're a freak.
Yeah. You can make this recipe as well as just, plain sugar cookies with minimal oats. But, see, the oats help soak up the fruity flavor from the pan over there.
Exactly. That's why you put stuff like extra things in oatmeal cookies. Who actually makes just oatmeal cookies?
Well, I mean, you have to drink them with a lot of milk or something.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's one way to go, but it's pretty extreme.
Most people always want to mix stuff in with them for the extra flavor.
Alright.
And even I agree, even though I like stuff with subtle flavors.
So now what we're going to do, the oven's preheating. We're going to come over here with our mixture, and we're just going to, well, let me wash my hands here for a second. Nah, who needs washed hands, sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean, they were already clean when you rolled the stuff.
Yeah, so.
It wasn't stick to them too much.
Alright, the best way to do this, I mean, you can either make cookie balls.
Are you making Mudflats? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm making Mudflats, but the point is just to get the right thickness of bottom texture on here. It might be easier for some people to make actual cookie balls and then smash them together onto the pan. I'm just making this more like a, crumble crisp, you just smush the layer on there.
Yeah, rather than having it have balls with sort of chocolate in between, so that it raises up from the bottom of the pan that weird way, yeah.
Yeah, you see the raspberry, you can also use rhubarb, of course.
Well, I guess, kind of the methodology of how you do it would depend more upon how much chocolate sauce you wanted to use versus the amount of cookie.
Yeah, exactly. You just kind of have to feel it out. I've never actually made these. My sister makes them usually.
But I'm just saying it's kind of just two styles of the same thing. Because, I mean, you cut them into squares and it technically does the same thing. The surface will still look the same, too. It just won't have big old, like, defined areas between chocolate. Which some people like and some people don't. Some people like a nice, even surface of all the ingredients. Other people, not so much. They like it in chunks with things that they expect.
Mm-hmm. Very well. Alright, I'll do this one a little faster. I'll just put about the right amount in there. Since I have never done this before, I'm learning as I go. There goes the oven ready.
Looking pretty good. Pretty delish.
It'll work out nice. Alright, there's our bottom layer. And I'll go get the next ingredients in a second. Alright, then we'll bring over some Adidas. And a spoon probably would help. And we'll just split this right on there in another layer.
The fruit.
Yep.
The fruit.
Got half there, the other half for the other side. We'll just get it on there and then we'll even it out on there. Ugh. Alright. See, I could have done more fruit, but I figured this was about the right amount because if you have any more, it'll actually over-fruitify the flavor. You're just trying to get a light background, backtone of the fruit. Well, the main taste you're going for is the chocolatey goodness. So you just kind of want to get it evenly around enough so that every piece has the same amount of fruit when you're cutting it for the gobs of guests you have over. Alright, there we go. Next level, baby. Part of the challenge is you never wash your hands. That's what I decided suddenly. Alright, next we'll use some of these. It's not really hot anymore. And we'll just treacle some of this on there. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. That's gonna be tasty. Just get a nice little 1/4 of an inch thick layer on there. Hopefully I have enough in this other pan. I'll have to really use up every little bit. Yeah, get it into all the corners. You see, I'm making the extra jumbo sized recipe where it's 2 cake pans. Because if you don't eat this stuff for like a week straight and feel like you're dying, then you're not a real Georgian. Yeah, got just about the right amount. It's a cup of carob and a cup of regular baking cacao or whatever they call it, powder, and then you just mix in the milk and molasses until you get a slightly thick mixture like this. Alright. Oh, I also put a little bit of coconut juice concentrate into the mixture as well for additional texture. Alright, and then we'll put the next layer of cookie on, and that'll be all of it. And there is a little bit of raisin in this cookie mix so that it'll properly fluff up as it bakes. I put 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So we'll see if that was the right amount, because it calls for more than that, but I wanted to tone it down a little bit for this version, because it's more of a crisp. Because of what I was also thinking is if you want to have the real mudflat texture when it's finished baking, the way you're going to have to achieve that is by not having the oats in the half of the mixture that goes on top, and then it'll create just a nice sugar cookie solid like layer like you would on like a pie, you know, pot pie that's filled with whatever fruity flavors. But with this is just more of a crumble I'm doing because I didn't want to go to the effort of making 2 versions of the cookies in 2 different bowls. Alright. You see all the ingredients are working out to be just about the right amount for both pans. As we shoot across the sky. You know, I was just singing that song in my head in the back of my brain, and it just suddenly came out into the front. Never resist those impulses. If you do, you're gay. But if you don't, you're also gay. You can't escape it. It's inevitable.
Kind of like how delicious this is.
Yeah, can't escape it. It's inevitable. Alright, so I'm going to be putting these in the oven for, say, 20 minutes. If you wanted to, you could have an additional tiny bit of, depending upon how you want it to come out, the consistency, a little bit of more, maybe fruit juice heated on a pan, just slightly drizzled on there. Or you could do some more sweetener, for example, if you wanted, like some maple syrup on top. I did put maple syrup into with the fruit, but you can also drizzle a little back and forth on top if you want. So I think I'll actually do that. I'll get some of that out and put it in there. Just to give it that special feel. There we are. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Alright, there we go. That should do it. And we'll pop it in the oven for 20 minutes. Alright. I left some pans in there. I'll have to get those out of there. Alright. Yeah, it definitely isn't going to have the mudflat look I was originally conceiving of, but I just couldn't be bothered with the non-oat version.
Yeah, well, it turned out that we had more ingredients, so I guess it won't look much like Mudflats, unless it's like cars that have run over mud and flung it around. Yeah, the tire track.
Yeah, this looks like a crumble, just a complicated type of crisp or something. But that's alright. Alright, I guess we'll take them out of the oven in 20 minutes and we'll turn the camera on then. Wait a minute, timer. There. Pulling the second one out. I just waited until it was nicely toasted on top and figures it's about done. And I just gotta let it cool off and really solidify into itself.
Yes, I see that. The chocolate through the...
Yes. Now, this looks more like chocolate lava plains.
Yeah, you're right. With little bits of dead rodent.
No, that's hot magma.
Oh, okay. And then there's the darker seething magma below.
Yeah, we'll have to slice into this in another, half hour when it's cooled off enough. These aren't supposed to be eaten that hot. You're supposed to let them solidify, so we'll get back to that in another while. Alright, slicety. Slicety. Alright, let me get a plate. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's like a pie in the pan. And then, of course, you can put, your whipped cream on there. Eat it with milk. If it's still warm, if you like it warm, you can... you have to get it right when it's at the right point. You can put a little butter on it. Whatever floats your goats. I'll put up the recipe list on the finished version of this video at the end, so don't worry. I did a little thing, different things that you don't know what happened, and I actually didn't explain a few things I put into the pan ingredients, and so I'll have it all listed out. I can take a bite of it. Oh yeah, here we go. Ooh, got the fruit and the chocolate. Wow, those cranberries are pretty